Let's talk about weaning puppies. These guys are 6 weeks old and they are just about stopped using mum's milk. By the way, you'll see a few of them are scratching their backs because they just got their 6 week shots. So they've got the 6 week shots and their first of their 3-day deworming with Safeguard. Okay, now you can see mum, you can see that her boobs are still hanging down a little bit, but they're generally not swollen like they were. And the puppies, although they do kind of hound her a little bit, not very much. So the first thing is, when should you start this process? Well, they've got to have teeth really before you can start introducing them to solid food. So that means they've got to be at least 3 weeks old. And for us, it's more like 4 weeks old. These guys have now been in this environment now for 1 week out of their smaller area. So they are just about transition now. We started off by feeding them the puppy food. We use a Life's Abundance puppy formula, puppy food, little bitty bites that we then soak down with water and let that soak for about 30 minutes before we introduce it to them. And now you can see they are now on the hard kibble. So they've got teeth, they're now used to the hard kibble. Be careful though, you don't want a puppy choking, so just kind of monitor what's going on. And you can see they've got mum there, they will bug her a little bit, but they're generally doing okay. So when do you take mum away? So here you go, you can see one of them is nursing now, she's letting that happen. When should you, in fact she's just playing, actually not even nursing. When should you start this process? And when should you stop this process? Well, for us, we can leave mum with her babies for as long as she wants to be with them. I mean, you know, if you think about human beings, we don't take babies away from mum, we leave mum and babies together. There's a bond that's formed. But some mothers have had enough of it. And some mothers get hounded by the dogs all the time. They're getting bitten and clawed and they don't want any more of it and they can even bite a puppy. So if you see any of that behavior, it's definitely time to get them away from puppies as soon as you reasonably can. But you've got to remember there's a couple of things going on here. The first one is we've got to let mum dry up in a kind of an orderly manner. You can't just go cold turkey on this because she'll swell up with milk not being drained. That can develop into mastitis. So this is not something that you can just literally, you know, do it one day they're feeding on mum and the next day they're not. I mean, you can get forced into this situation where, you know, mum gets sick, got bad milk, whatever. But for this girl right here, she wants to be with her babies and we're going to let her be with them. Okay. So the other thing about this is this socialization. You know, puppies need to learn how to be puppies. And they learn some of that from being around other puppies, being around humans, and being around mum. So they've got to learn how to behave, which means there's a little bit of reprimand that goes on. So, you know, the other day I saw her, she growled at one of her puppies. So the question here is that something that is behavior we have to worry about, or is that her teaching her puppies what to do? We monitored it very carefully. When she did that, we said no to her and she acted like she was upset with us. And I think she was just simply teaching her puppy that there's boundaries and you need to behave by the boundaries and I'm the boss. But again, if you see any behavior that you think is going to cause harm to a puppy, it's time to really step in and maybe remove mum for the whole environment. The next thing that's going to happen is as you wean these puppies, mum was cleaning everything up. She was get rid of the poop, basically eating it. And when they go on to solid food, their poop gets different and she's less likely to want to clean it up. And you can see what we've got here is we've got this crate and the puppies poop on this crate, and that's been working incredibly well. Now, their poop was really nice and hard. It's definitely a bit more liquidy in the last 24 hours. That's why we did the worming. We're going to keep an eye on that. So this is something that if you start to see explosive diarrhea, you should absolutely get concerned about it. Or if you get puppies that aren't pooping at all, then maybe you need to give them the enema and get them going. But just pay attention. Poop tells you a lot. What you want to see. I'd like to see poop that's I like to see poop that's more like that right there. You can see that's a nice turd right there. I don't want to see that. I'd rather not see something that's a bit more liquidy. Not too bad, right? And then pay attention to mum's poop too. So mum, she's getting a worming too. These guys are going to get worming for 3 days straight at 6 weeks old with fenbendazole or Safeguard. Mum's going to get 3 days of it as well. Because remember, every mum's got to have some parasites in her. That does get passed along with things like milk and poop. Okay, so how often should you feed these puppies? We feed puppies, we get to the point where we're feeding them twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. You want to feed more frequently than that to start with, probably 4 times a day. And You want to make sure that mum's not devouring all their food and that mum is happy with them eating with her, because some mums can get aggressive towards puppies when it's feeding time, so be careful about that. Some puppies take to this very quickly, typically the bigger ones, and you can see these two boys here, Pavarotti and Rossi, the two boys, they got to it almost immediately. The little boy here, Bocelli, and Conchetta, his sister, they were a bit slow to get to it. So just keep an eye on this. You don't want to get a puppy where you've basically removed its food source, mum, to be replaced by food and that puppy not eating. So it's not a bad idea to start weighing your puppies again. We haven't been weighing these puppies because we know they're all doing fine. But if you think you've got a problem here, you can always put them back with mum for a little bit by themselves for an hour every 12 hours, just so they can get a supplemental feeding from mum, because you've got to make sure that puppies are doing okay. Remember, it is a transition for them. You can expect to see a transition in their poop when you go through this process. That's quite normal as well. Right, so I think I've rattled on long enough about this. Take your time, have fun with it, do monitor your puppies, make sure that there's no aberrant behavior between mum and puppies. If there is, separate them. Watch out when it's feeding time to start with, especially to make sure that mum's not upset with their eating out of the same bowl. Make sure that mum is allowing them to feed. She will do that absolutely, but if you're in a situation that mum wants to hog all the food, take mum away. Don't put mum in there. Let the puppies have 10 minutes worth of eating their food before you introduce mum into it. Make your bowls deep. You want the bowls to be deep and heavy so that puppies can't tip them over. And always provide lots of water for the puppies. Again, not a deep bowl for the water. You don't want a puppy getting in there and drowning. You want a bowl that the puppies can get out of okay, and provide lots of clean water 24/7. I think that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.